Hi, welcome back to the Playwright and TypeScript course. So in this video we will learn more about the advanced elements. By the advanced elements I mean the iframes and drag and drop. So it's not common to use drag and drop in our daily basics. So we will see the possibility how can Playwright allow us to move one box to another box and how Playwright allow us to work with the iframes. When the drag and drop is not that common thing in real life, but the iframes is really matter when it comes to the real world applications. So let's move in. So as you can see, I already did prepare some files. The workshop 3 folder as we used to, and then index.html, which is basically the page with styles, and some logic for our drop-down box and for the iframe. The iframe, which is actually a separate page, we're inputting it to our index.html. So to be more precise, let's actually open it and see what is going on there. I will copy the path to it. In my case, it's located in the desktop folder and workshop 3 HTML. The path to it will be different for you, of course, but you can easily copy it from the copy path tool in VS Code. And so the page is super simple. I prepare some elements too, so we can really examine how the Playwright methods is working here. There is a drag and drop, and we can see success once it drops, and there is an iframe, so we can type something here. There is a right click, and we have a sign that actually the context menu up here, and double click. So we will have, after the double click, we will have the cat image. And also after that we have the hover effect. All right, let's test this page. As previously, we'll create the file, which will be the workshop 3. Yeah, the workshop spec.ts3. Perfect. So as before, we will start from importing the test and expect from our Playwright repo, our Playwright dependency. Perfect. Let's create a test. Let's call it advanced interaction. And sync page and return our test. So now let's inspect some selectors which we do have. For example, the hover element. As you can see, it's got the ID, also the context menu got the ID, and the double click button also have the ID. Perfect. Let's move back. Then actually let's open the page. And as I said before, this path would be different for you. So we use the local file. That's why we have to go to the local file. So you see it's already copied. Copy it, and the path will be different for you. Let's make sure that it's actually open. Put the only to this test, just to make sure that we delete all the onlys. No, we didn't. Let's get rid of the only. And here on the test. All right. Perfect. The page is open. And then let's start with the hovering some elements. So there is no such thing in the Playwright or in the web automation like to hover the mouse. The framework itself handles it via API. And what the Playwright does is actually have its own method. This actually from the description, method hovers an element which is matching the selector. So in our case, we have to pass the selector, which will be the button, and we put the hover me ID. All right. So what we want to do here is we want to expect that in a page, so we want this button to actually change the text, right? So we want to assert that the text is actually changed. So that text element is actually asserted to the text change. So there is possibility in a Playwright to use text context, which means that this actually search for an element and return the text which is there. So again, we'll take the selector, paste it, and actually we want it to contain the actual text. So the text we want to expect is that text changed. All right, let's make sure that this will work. Open the page, assert the text, we get a fail. Perfect. So the fail is because we actually received the object, which means that we cannot define the element, but we didn't wait for this method to be ended. So this is because we forget to add a wait. Let's try it again. All right, now it's perfectly passed. Let's make sure that this actually works. Let's add 1 and make sure the assertion will fail. Cool. You see that there is a difference. So assertion is not passing. Okay, let's make it back to work. Now we want to move along with the different buttons, with other buttons. So we want to click actually on the button. But the thing is, we want to use the right click, right? Because when we click the right click, there is some text appear. So as before, we have to provide the button selector. This won't be the hover. This would be the context menu, right? And also there is a possibility in the click method, so you can see that we can click the left, right, or middle. So which we will be here. We will be passing the button right. Right. Cool. This actually have to be like this. Perfect. We click in the right button, then we have to expect something that the text actually appear from there. So as before, get our expect. Don't forget about the await to get the element, and then actually let's get the element by context to kind of be different. And we get the elements by context. Excuse me, by text, I mean. And then we want to expect that actually context menu, right? Perfect. So we get the context menu element, and so as for now we get only the selector. So but the Playwright itself don't understand what is the text inside. So we had to explicitly tell that we want the text contents, and we want this to contain actually the text. Cool. Let's test that it works. Perfect. Let's make sure that this fail. Let's say menus. Perfect. We got our fail. All right. And the last button we have is a double click. So we want to wait for a page click on the button, and pick the button. Say it is a double click. Of course, this has to be in the braces, like that. So click the button, and now we do expect evade page.locator to be image, because we are actually waiting to get image appear, right? There's a lot of real world example. When you click on some button, then you expect some data to be on the page, which is quite necessary once we're testing our app. So there is a different possibilities how to actually assert it. We can take the text from the image itself, like alt text, which is required when the image is not loaded, but we actually would like to check if there is one image displayed on the website. So to make this possible, there is a method like count. So it will return the number, how many images is there on a website. And we don't want to use contain, we will be using to be, and pass the 1. All right, make sure that this is work. So we got some fail. And let's investigate why we get actually this fail. So we are clicking on the double click button. So the difference between click and double click, that is actually clicking only one time. We of course could do like something like that. So we actually click twice, but Playwright actually made something like double click. Let's test it again. Perfect. The image is there, and we perform the double click on the button, double click selector. Now let's play a bit with the drag and drop. We put this test as a skip, create the test, drag and drop, and make it a sync page, returning the test. So we go into the website again. Perfect. And then what? Then we actually want to know what is the element IDs. The drag source actually have the class, the drag source, which is the orange box. And the element where we expecting our box to be dropped is this green one. So we have the drop target class. And so let's actually get these elements, but first I will show you the real fast method from the Playwright, how we can perform this. There's a page dot, and the method is called as simple as that, drag and drop, where we expect to put the string of our locator element, and the other element will be the element where we want to drop our box. So first one is a class, is a drag source, right? And the second one is a drop target. Let's see how this works. And then before we see it, let's actually assert that once we drop the element contained success. So we do expect that our page text content of the drop target contains success. All right, test only this test. Let's go. Perfect. We did drop our test. Let's make it a bit more visualized and call wait for timeout 3000 milliseconds to be sure that the element was actually dropped. As you can see, there is no real option to see how the mouse is actually dropping the element, but the Playwright performing it via API. delete this line, and we'll skip the test. But before we move forward, I want to show you the other more configurable, I would say, way to drag and drop. We still want to go to our page. What we actually want to do now is actually to go to our page locator. Then take our drag source and hover it, right? After this, we want to go to the page and there is method like mouse down, mouse dot down. So we actually by default we click in on the mouse button, and after this we want our get our locator of drop target and hover it. So we still don't like click of a button. We only put down it, right? Okay. And after this, we want our page mouse up. Oops, like that. Up. So we put our finger back from the mouse. And let's actually assert that this actually was working. All right. So the assertion is pretty much the same. No changes here, right? Okay, let's run the test. Oops, I forgot to put the only. Let's do it. You see the result is mostly the same, but the difference is that this amount of code is much bigger than that. So the Playwright allows us to use only one method, which is quite cool. There's the situation when you have to pick this option, but it's not common. So let's move to the iframe. I'm just skipping this test and creating the handling iframe. All right. So first of all, let's find out what is the actual source of our iframe. You can see that there is an iframe passed. Just got the name of the iframe name, and there is some head and body. So basically, there is page inside other page, right? So what we want to do first is actually to go to our page. So let's first go to our page, and then actually let's find out what is the element of input is. Let's have the ID of iframe input. Perfect. Let's keep it in const the input selector, and this would be the iframe input. Let's make sure that this is the ID. So basically, when we were working on this page, not the iframe, we would be good to go with this test. But in this case, we would have to actually to get the iframe itself. And Playwright expected us to do something like that. Let's put it into the const. Set to the await and put it dot frame. So Playwright has its own method with the frame to actually handle the iframes, and this method is expecting us to put the name of iframe or put the selector of it. So our name of iframe is iframe name. Okay. So now we are good to go to work with our iframe. So let's actually await for our iframe element, and then we want to specify of type of it, which actually you can see that it's crossed because of the TypeScript, because it's actually depreciated, but we will still use it. And we want the input selector, and then we want to pass some value. Let's put it hello Playwright. Perfect. We can see that there is an error from the TypeScript that the iframe element might be possibly null because the TypeScript doesn't know that that the iframe is there, but we handle it in a moment. So we want to expect our iframe element. We'll take the locator of the input selector. And before that, we were using text context. And so we were getting the text of the element. In this case, we need to have the input value. So now we're getting the input value of the element, and we want this to contain our hello Playwright. Perfect. So you can see that actually the TypeScript think that there is a possible null of the iframe. We can make sure that we always getting the iframe, for example, with the if. So if the iframe element is actually exist, this means it's actually true, but we can skip this. So by default, it's always true. So if the iframe element is exist, so then we want to perform this piece of code. Elsewhere, we want to have the console error. Iframe is not available. Let's fix the typo. Okay, add some spaces for more readability. And let's actually make sure that this part is working. So we go to our page, remember the frame, have our input selector, then we expect into our frame be on the website. If there is existing, we take the iframe element, put there the hello word text, hello Playwright text, and then expecting the input value of the input itself to contain the hello Playwright. Let's check it. Perfect. You can see that it's working. So now you basically understand how to operate with the drag and drop and how to work with the iframe. So from my experience, the iframe is always a painful topic with the different frameworks like Cypress and WebDriver IO, but the Playwright make this experience pretty smoothly. So in the next video, we will get into pop-ups and alerts, which is the Chrome messages for us when the user interact with the page. And these things is also are expected to test with Playwright. So see you in the next one.